The Gifts of the Gospel. Extract from the Quarterly Review of the YLMIA of the 17th Ward by Ella Dallas, as found in the 1890 January edition of the Young Woman's Journal. The gifts of the gospel are bestowed upon men through obedience to the gospel of Christ. They come through the Holy Ghost, which is conferred upon men through the laying on of hands by those holding authority. By reading the 46th section of the Doctrine and Covenants, much instruction can be gained concerning these gifts. The 8th verse of this section reads as follows, quote, "Wherefore, beware lest ye are deceived, and that ye may not be deceived, seek ye earnestly the best gifts, always remembering for what they are given." End quote. Now, we might ask, what are the best gifts, and for what are they given? The revelations of God tell us that these gifts are for the benefit of those who love Jesus Christ and keep his commandments. They are for those who ask, provided they do not ask for a sign. There are many of these precious gifts that come through the Holy Ghost, or Spirit of God. It would be difficult to at once say which are the best among them. Among the most prominent might be mentioned the gifts of faith, wisdom, discernment of spirits, knowledge, healing, working of miracles, prophecy, tongues, and interpretation of tongues. Now, which among these are the best and most useful to man? For all men cannot possess every gift, but to every man is given at least one gift. To some is given one, and to some another, that all may be benefited. We do not read that no man shall receive every gift. On the contrary, there are those who have all these gifts bestowed upon them. These are they who are called to lead and be at the head of the great work of Jesus Christ. Were we left to choose which one of these precious gifts we would have, we would be at a loss which to select, and would most likely begin by desiring the gift of wisdom to guide us in our choice. Therefore, we would have made a selection almost without realizing that we had done so. Then the gift of wisdom must be one of the best and most desirable. This is indeed a precious gift. Any person in possession of this gift to a great extent is greatly blessed, for through it he would be enabled to shape every action of his life to his best good, both temporally and spiritually. Suppose we had wisdom enough to make another selection. What would come next? Faith. This is another gift that is very desirable. Indeed, without faith, we are nothing. This is a gift that all possess to a greater or lesser degree, for it is the power that guides every action of our lives. While all possess faith in some degree, there are few, if any, who possess the gift of perfect faith. The gift of healing, oh, how precious this gift appears to us! What comfort and happiness can those who are blessed with this gift bestow upon their fellow creatures? This is indeed a very desirable gift, one that would cause the person in possession of it to be sought after for the comfort he would be able to give through exercising this gift. But the gift of healing is dependent upon faith, therefore must come next to faith in importance. Then comes prophecy. This, again, in a measure, is dependent upon faith. It is a great gift and one to be sought after, but according to the words of the Apostle Paul, quote, "It serveth only to those who believe." End quote. In the same manner, we might review each of the gifts of the gospel, and would find that all are desirable, even to the gift of tongues, which is the least of all the gifts, but being from God through the Holy Ghost, should be respected, but not sought after as much as the more useful gifts. Many seek and desire the gift of tongues. The prophet Joseph Smith said, quote, "Be not so curious about tongues. Do not speak in tongues except there be an interpreter present. The ultimate design of tongues is to speak to foreigners, and if persons are anxious to display their intelligence, let them speak to such in their own tongues." End quote. By some persons, it has been expected that some miraculous demonstration should follow the laying on of hands for the gift of the Holy Ghost, or else the Holy Ghost does not fulfill its mission in bestowing the gifts. Suppose the person receiving the laying on of hands should have one or more of these gifts bestowed upon him. Would an observer be conscious of the fact? He might or he might not be. All the gifts of the Spirit are not visible to the natural vision. We might say that there are but two that would be visible: the gift of tongues and the gift of prophecy. A person might receive the gift of faith, healing, wisdom, or a discernment of spirits, but who would know it at the time? If he had the interpretation of tongues, unless someone spoke in tongues, he of course would have to remain silent. We can therefore understand that the best and most useful gifts would not be noticed by any observer. Sometimes it seems that it is these outward gifts that are the most sought after and desired. But God, in His most infinite wisdom, has seen fit to bestow the most useful gifts the most liberally upon His children, insomuch that they are forgetful that they are in possession of some of these precious gifts. It is sometimes remarked in the gatherings of the saints that these spiritual gifts are not enjoyed by the people today as they were in the earlier days of the church. Are not such expressions in a measure false? The outward and lesser gifts of the Spirit may not be enjoyed to the same extent today as they were in the earlier days, but the more useful gifts, faith, wisdom, healing, etc., are enjoyed to a very great extent. Who among us can review the events that have transpired among the people during the last 5 or 6 years, and say that wisdom has not been shown by the leaders of the church in the course which they have shown and in the instructions which they have given to the people? Who can think over passing events and fail to see that it is faith in a future deliverance that has enabled the people to peaceably endure all indignities and persecutions that have been put upon them? And who is there that has visited among the sick but can testify that the gift of healing has been successfully exercised in very many cases? Indeed, but very few compared to the many afflicted have succumbed to the destroying angel. These gifts will always be manifest in the true Church of Christ, for its members will always have the Holy Ghost abiding with them, and where that is, the gift of the spirits will be manifest. Salt Lake City, January 18th, 1889.